we live as we talk to y'all.
Are we?
Anakin gave me a thumbs up.
Oh,
Yeah, put your food up.
my bad.
Nobody can eat your whatever.
I'm hungry, man. I hadn't eaten all day. I'm sorry.
What is up, internet world? We've been gone 2 weeks.
It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step two.
Has it? I think it's only been 2 weeks, which isn't bad because we missed it for a hurricane. We had a good reason why we missed last week.
So, guys, we were here. You already know if you've been with us from the beginning. We used to try to do these on Fridays, but football season happened.
Mm-hmm.
Then Hurricane Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, football season happened, so we moved it to Thursdays.
Yes.
And then we didn't do last Thursday because Hurricane Dorian was
Decided-
coming out. Decided to just hit the eastern seaboard,
it
including the Carolinas.
started to curve
Yeah.
in. It, like drifted into the Carolinas.
Pretty much Tokyo drifted around and did whatever.
Yep.
So we're past that now. We are here back for another live edition of Press Play. I'm Michael. This is Leroy. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Apple stuff.
Apple finally released information about its Apple Arcade and its Apple TV Plus.
We're talking about Tokyo Game Show.
Tokyo Game Show, and
going on.
excuse me, your favorite topic of the week.
20 years of Sega Dreamcast.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm not.
I'm not gonna cry.
Oh, okay.
I'm happy.
Okay.
I was debating whether that was my favorite system of all time. I think the Super Nintendo is probably still my favorite, just for what I had to go through to get one, which has really meant something to me.
What did you have to go through to get one?
Nothing major.
Oh,
It
I was
just,
like-
no, it wasn't like traumatic or anything.
I thought it was
just-
like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. like you had to like.
yeah, no, nothing major like that. It's just I had to con my parents into getting me one.
Okay.
Great times. Love you, Mom and Dad, as I conned you into getting me Super Nintendo. But yeah, Sega Dreamcast, in terms of like game libraries, I'd say it's cream of the crop, one of the best game libraries overall.
What's up, IMAX? Appreciate you.
Okay.
IMAX
Man,
is here.
Hey, IMAX. IMAX is in Atlanta, right? Well, you'll tell us in a second. I think was he the one who was asking us about Dragon Con?
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if he's in Atlanta. I'm just curious what IMAX does. That he's always able to know whenever we're doing stuff.
Well, remember IMAX. Ray Sean told us he's a stay-at-home dad, and he also does Uber at night. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
he's part-time Ubers, but he's a stay-at-home dad. His wife works, or his spouse works, and I understand that because with me and my wife, we were gonna have kids, childcare.
Yeah.
Man, you remember we went with Chuck? So we went with a buddy of mine named Chuck. We went to Heroes Con
In Charlotte.
And Charlotte. And me and Chuck were talking about, he was like, when you get married and have kids, childcare. And he was like, the amount of money I would have made, me and my wife working, it would have all went to childcare. And he was like, it honestly was cheaper for me to stay home. And I was like, man, that's wild. Like that just blew my mind. So IMAX, appreciate it. I'm interested. So what do you want to start with? You want to start with your baby?
We can start wherever.
Or you want to start with Tokyo?
We can start with Tokyo.
Okay.
So 2019 TGS Tokyo Game Show is going on in the Chiba Prefecture of Japan. I like saying that all the
You're
time.
so proud of yourself you did that, aren't
I am. Yeah. So we've said it before. There is always a game conference going on somewhere.
Oh, before you go, sorry. IMAX did tell us what he does. Remember, he worked in a call center.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so he
My bad, IMAX. I got a bad
When
memory.
he said it in the chat, I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
He did
IMAX.
tell us that.
He
Yeah.
did,
Okay, appreciate that.
Continue, sorry.
So yeah, Tokyo Game Show's going on right now. Usually the best and brightest developers in the East, Eastern developers out there showing their wares. We've seen trailers we saw a teaser trailer for Project Resistance. There's a gameplay video out now that we haven't seen that we're going to react to later and put on the channel. There's also a 7-minute. There's also like a 50-minute video out of Death Stranding as well, in addition to the 7-minute video.
I heard that there's a long clip of
There's like a 50-minute gameplay video, and people are like, I still don't know what this game is, even with the 50-minute video.
So you heard with Death Stranding, there's an easy mode that basically turns it into a movie that allows the most unskilled game player to play. So I'm interested to see how that works,
Oh yeah.
because how easy is it? Like, could my mom do it?
I don't know.
And I'm interested. What else? What else did TGS?
So for me, what I've seen at TGS is I'm excited I want to see more of Final Fantasy, the game that I hate
Why?
that I have bought.
Why do you need to see more? You already bought it.
Because I may decide not to buy it, or I may decide to go with the cheaper version.
I'm just saying.
Because the money don't come out of my account till they send it. So
Okay.
I got till March 20, whatever, to decide to change it to a lower version of it.
Okay.
So,
I was like, they already got your money, so.
because again, we still don't know how far they go into.
You mean y'all don't know? I ain't buying it.
Yeah, I'm saying we as the
Okay,
world
yeah, I
don't
was
know
like-
how far the game goes into the original
I
Final
was like,
Fantasy
when
VII.
Square Enix said this thing was part 1, and I was like, you not even. Ugh. I was like, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
So you got PlayStation, not PlayStation, Final Fantasy,
Mhm.
which will it be a PlayStation exclusive?
So right now, everybody is saying, including Square Enix and PlayStation, this game is only supposed to be for Sony, PlayStation. A couple months ago, there was a leaked photo with like graphics and stuff done up about coming to the Xbox. There was a big hubbub because it was like, whoa, it's not supposed to be out. And they kind of backpedaled and said, no, this is just for PlayStation. So my thinking is, it's probably a super long timed exclusive, and eventually it'll come to everything else. But Sony probably paid a bunch of money to be like, come to us and stay with us for a while, and don't even mention anybody else. That's what I'm thinking.
How do you do a super long exclusive when the game is in parts? Like when you are doing part 1, does
The
Sony
same way they did Mass Effect. Mass Effect Part 1 for a while was only on Xbox 360. Then when they did, maybe was it Part 2, it came to PlayStation?
You
Or
mean-
was it Part 3?
You mean number 2?
Yeah, number 2, whatever.
Because I don't remember Mass Effect, the first one, ever being on Xbox.
You mean PlayStation? It was definitely on Xbox. Mass Effect was definitely on Xbox 360.
So it was a 360 exclusive?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So you only played it on PlayStation. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was on Xbox
I didn't know
first.
that.
Yeah, it was on Xbox first, and then so I guess it worked because you thought it came to PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came to Xbox first.
Okay.
And then what happened is when they did either 2 or 3, probably 2, they redid 1 and released it on PlayStation 3 as whatever. Yeah.
I know because I played, because when 2 came out, I've only played it on PlayStation. Because
Yeah.
I think I still have, if I go in, I probably still have all my saves.
So yeah, so I think that's what I think maybe Part 1 will be on PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 4. Then maybe Part 2, 2 or 3 years down the road, may come out to Xbox Scarlet and PS5, and then maybe they'll re-release Part 1 again for Scarlet. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's another game that came out from Tokyo?
Nothing major, because Tokyo Game Show is a little different this year because we didn't get a Sony press conference, which I was hoping we were going to get one, but Sony has kind of, dug their heels in the sand, as it were, and stuck to this whole thing of, we talk about stuff when we want to talk about stuff. We don't care if it's an E3 or whatever. If we have our, I can't even remember what their press conference is called now, but whatever their Nintendo Live version of their press conference is, their Nintendo Direct, they do their own thing at their own time. I feel like more people are going to that because there weren't any big major press conferences at TGS like you would at an E3 or whatever.
It's interesting that Sony's doing that because you're starting to see that in the movie world or television world when it comes to these conventions, like Disney not going to San Diego for a while, pull it out, and then other people filling that spot. Then other people say we're not going, and then Marvel and Disney coming back saying, "Hey, we're going to Hall H." So it's interesting that you bring that up. That happened. Do you think this Tokyo was more lackluster?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No. I think you're not getting, like you said, your press conference like you were before, so that kind of feels like you're not getting as much stuff. You're still getting announcements. You're getting your Kingdom Hearts. Maybe you're not following.
Yeah, that's
Because you got trailers for Kingdom Hearts stuff that came out for RE Recoded, whatever. You got information on the new Resident Evil. You got information on Death Stranding. There's other videos that came out as well. So, I haven't seen a lot of Microsoft stuff from TGS. but I could be completely ignorant and not know if they're there or not. I don't know.
Was the System Shock video that we did, was that part of Tokyo?
I don't think so.
Or was it timed to come out?
I just feel like it kind of happened. It was a coincidence that it happened at the same time.
You think it was a coincidence?
I believe so.
I don't think so. Reason why I asked that is because if this is a game people have been waiting for years,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a time. It wasn't timed because IGN had the only exclusive,
Okay.
and it was only a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, Sony wasn't there. You didn't have all these press conferences like you used to.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it feels like, let's go ahead and do it at around this time to capitalize on when we release this, we would be not necessarily the talk, but we would at least have. We don't have to compete with other things. Like you don't have to compete with A Last of Us right now. You don't have to compete with Ghost of what's the
Tsushima?
Yeah, you don't have to compete with these big properties that are already known.
Well, I'm still convinced that both Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2 were PlayStation 5.
I mean, it's a good possibility. It feels like to me, the fact that System Shock came out, it was something that was so outside of the norm. It was like, let's throw this out there. It was red meat for the core fans. Let's see how it does, because there's no launch date, and if it's received well, then let's move on in this direction.
Okay. Has anything come out of TGS for you that you're like, oh, this is interesting?
Nope.
Really?
I mean, I'm like,
But you haven't really been looking.
I haven't been keeping up like you have. I'm not gonna say that nothing is interesting, but nothing has made me say I want that, or nothing's made me say, oh, that's the. And that's why I said, other than System Shock, which we just talked about, wasn't necessarily a timed. We don't know. It just happened. It could have been a happy coincidence, but there was nothing out of the Tokyo Game Show that came out that had me. Like when we watched Gamescom, or when we watched even the Video Game Awards, there was nothing that was just like, oh, the big games that I'm looking for, I've already heard enough about. There was no new titles or properties that came out that was like, oh, that I hadn't heard of that before. And again, it could be because I haven't been keeping up, but even on the sites that I go to normally, Polygon, Bleeding Cool, I've been on Game Informer. We'll talk about you in a minute. Nothing really came out that I was like, man. So it's been kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? I say lackluster. That's just me.
Do you feel like this means that Tokyo Game Show doesn't have any relevance anymore?
See, this is where I don't know. I liked it, but I think the Tokyo Game Show has not. It's one of those things where, if you're there, yes, it's great. It's good for you. If you follow it, that's great. But it hasn't hit. Tokyo Game Show to me hasn't kept up with other game conferences, and that may be because it's not made for the average consumer. Like, so. In your opinion, who is the Tokyo Game Show for? Is it for developers? Is it for fans? Who is it for? Because my thing is, if you got a show and where is your, kind of like, again, I bring up Gamescom. When you have certain people, or do you have like an opening night of the show? Who is your show for? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Tokyo Game Show wasn't even on my radar compared to some of the comic books that I've been reading. It wasn't even on my radar. That knocked out the Apple stuff we'll get to. You see what I'm saying? Like there were other stuff that took my attention away, where Tokyo Game Show was like, oh, it's on right now.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, it's not like an E3. It's never been like an E3.
But that's my point.
Because all these conferences, for the most part, I feel like they're trade shows where developers work with each other.
And that's my
E3 was different because they started putting on these press conferences that got people like USA Today and Wall Street Journal and all that stuff to actually pay attention. But Tokyo Game Show has never been that.
And that's what I'm saying. So that it's not. I don't want to. This is the thing. Tokyo Game Show is not for me.
Okay.
And that's probably what I'm saying. Tokyo Game Show isn't for me because I'm more interested in you presenting something, doing a Q&A about it, letting people get a hands-on, then reporters decipher this information, report back to us. I'm used to that type of trade and game show.
Okay.
And that's not what it is. And if it's not that, I personally am not interested in it. Now that's not saying that it's not good or it doesn't do well, because if it's been going on this long, it's got to attract somebody. It just isn't for me. It just is, and not in the realm of where it captures my attention over other things.
Okay. So I mean, at the moment, we're only in day 2 of Tokyo Game Show, so we still got Saturday and Sunday announcements.
And it could be,
And they're in the future, so who knows what they got coming on when we were sleeping and whatever.
But the thing is, like you brought up, for those people, and it's probably maybe why some people may not be watching this right now, it's Thursday Night Football. Football is back. It's the 100th anniversary. It's the 100th year of the NFL.
Yeah.
So football is here for a lot of people.
Miles Cage, what's up?
Miles Cage, we got a bone to pick with you, sir. Woo! Glad you're here.
I don't know what that bone is, but I guess I'll say it.
Miles Cage says that Bad Boys 2 is a bad movie.
I don't get a bone to pick with you. You're right.
I do.
Miles Cage, you're right. It is a bad movie. Next. We done.
It is not.
It's not good.
We'll get to you later, sir.
Um,
But no, it's one
Ray
of those
Sean,
things that-
hello.
What up, yo? That's why I said it may be, and you've said this before with Nintendo and how Nintendo operates, and maybe it's a culture thing. If it works for them, they're not changing.
Yeah.
Nintendo, it works for them. They're not changing anything.
Yeah.
So, but for me, other things have caught my attention that I gravitate to. So right now, the Panthers are playing the Bucks. Right now.
Is that? Oh, that's Thursday Night Football.
Uh-huh.
Y'all, this might be a short one.
So,
I'm just giving y'all a heads up now. I didn't realize your team was playing.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I set my lineup, called the wife, and was
Man,
like,
yo. For the few fans that we have in right now, Leroy really loves y'all. Because I didn't realize your team was playing tonight. And you still want to do this. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. All right.
I was like, yo, ooh. So for some people, football is here. And so that's why I said, Tokyo Game Show, I'm not saying the timing is bad. I'm just saying other things have caught other people's attention.
To piggyback off you, IMAX saying this is the first time he's ever heard about TGS, Tokyo Game Show. Which is interesting. Because I guess because maybe, comic books are your thing. Video games are my thing. So
Yeah,
to me, TGS is synonymous.
Yeah.
I just thought everybody knew. I didn't realize.
And that's why I
that's the
said,
thing.
so for me,
Yeah.
but it's a different thing. Like for me, I know about like Wizard World.
Right.
A lot like most people know of only San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
They don't realize, or maybe Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Or maybe New York. There's a ton of conventions.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a ton of gaming conventions. You are in the know. So for you, you're like, oh, this is how they've always done it.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, let me know when you hit something big. So,
Right.
But again, it's Thursday.
Yeah.
We still got Friday. We still got Saturday. And sometimes people drop stuff on Sunday.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what is next.
All right. So let's talk about your topic.
All right, which one?
I mean, I guess Apple, right?
Woo!
All this Apple stuff that you
Man,
got,
I'm
that
not
you,
gonna-
you don't even like Apple.
Let me tell you, I don't. I don't. But I like the attempt, and I like the fact that Apple has realized their mistakes.
Have they?
They have, because this is part of the reason why they've started doing this. Apple has so this week, I don't know if you guys realized, this week Apple had a live stream event. They had an Apple event where they said, okay, we're going to release information about Apple TV Plus and Apple Arcade. Tim Cook, and one of his latest, I don't know when it was, but it was recently, they talked about they have seen a decline in iPhone sales, MacBook, like they have seen a decline in hardware across the board. Part of that reason is other people are coming for them in the cell phone business.
You remember, like, when Apple came out, it was revolutionary. Everybody loved it. And then, I don't know, like, whoever, like, the Android, Samsungs, and all that stuff, everybody kind of laughed at them having these big phones, and now Apple's kind of following back in their place, and they're doing everything that Samsung is doing.
They're doing some of it. They're still having the small phones.
Have you seen the commercial that Microsoft has out about the Surface with this guy named, I think his name is Mackenzie Book?
Yes, his
And so it's
name
like
MacBook.
MacBook?
Yep.
I was like,
Yep.
man, that's genius.
So they realized that they have to change. They have literally have the Tim Cook said we have to diversify because hardware is not. Hardware makes up over 30. If I want to say, Apple's share of actual what their hardware is in the market, I think is 20%. They make up 20% of all the hardware when it comes to phones, cell phones, laptops, tablets. And so for them, their hardware sales is where they made their money. And they're realizing, oh, we got to compete now. So with that being said, they decided, like everybody else, we need a streaming service. We've said time and time again, we don't know how this is going to work, how it's going to look, because when they had their event, all they had was stills.
Yeah.
We've now seen trailers. We now know a price. Apple TV Plus is $4.99 a month. There will be 3 episodes of their shows come November the 1st.
Right.
Which means they'll have 3 episodes of the morning show.
Dickensian.
Is it Dickinson? Is it Dickinson?
Is Dickinson? I thought it was Dickensian.
No, it's Dickinson.
That makes sense because Emily Dickinson, that's Charles
It's
Dickinson.
Dickinson.
Yeah, all right.
What's the
C?
But I'm no. There's another the show.
The astronaut show.
Yes. So the alternate reality astronaut, where the USSR won the space race. So you have all of these shows, or these are the shows that they have coming up. Leroy, at least your team has staged a mutiny. Give it time. We beat ourselves last week. Whew. Don't get me started. I'm still upset. Katie was like, I fell asleep after the game. She's like, you okay? I was like, yeah. She's like, you slept till 7. I was like,
I was going through something.
I was like, I'm sore. Even the dog came and just like laid on me. Because I wouldn't yell at the TV. I was just, so you've got all these different shows. 3 shows will be released at once for each of these. And then they're 10 episodes, and then they'll be released weekly or however long they decide to do it.
And Rayshawn added the 1 year with the new device.
With every new device, which is decent considering how much them damn things cost.
You know,
man.
So they mentioned new iPhones. They mentioned a new iPad.
They have 3 different iPhones.
Yeah, they mentioned
because you mentioned it earlier, a smaller, lower price iPhone.
Yeah.
So
they also mentioned new iWatches. Are they out of iPods?
I don't know.
Because I know I can't be the only one, but I still regularly use my iPod that you can't see over here on the side. But yeah, I still love my iPod. I use it all the time.
But this is what I wonder. I wonder if was it something they tried and then they
This cup is empty, by the way. Nothing in it. We're not getting drunk.
No.
I'm saying that for the management up top.
I need that for some shows.
There we go.
That's how I get through work.
There we go.
My boss one day is going to ask me, Julie's going to be like, what could we do around here to make it a little bit more palatable? And I'm going to be like, you can let us drink at work. And she's going and knowing her, she's going to think.
No.
She's going to think about it.
Keep going. Next topic.
I'm saying.
Nothing. Keep going.
See,
I feel like I'm trying to save you.
Michael won't let me talk, y'all.
I just try to save you.
Anyway,
what were you talking about? Apple?
You interrupted me to bring up when there was no alcohol in there.
I was just saying that. That was enough. All right. Apple? Go ahead.
So they have all of these products. They realize that they're going to have to diversify. And they've launched a streaming service. They still don't have enough for me to spend $5 for your shows.
Yeah.
It just isn't. It does not have enough.
It's interesting that people, as you talk about the cold streaming wars or whatever, right? The new theory is that somebody's going to buy Netflix?
Yeah.
And because they're kind of, the way like they're running their business, seems like they're getting all these shows so that people can have it as a catalog. Like maybe either Apple or Amazon or Disney might buy Netflix or something like that.
I don't think Disney would. I think Amazon, I think Apple, because one of the things I've noticed is Apple's making money. They don't need a streaming service. They want one. They don't need one. I think they need one. They think they should dabble in it, but I don't know if they think that they need it because they didn't go hard with it, in my opinion. They went, Because if you look at it, they've announced, 6 shows?
So the thing is, I think they've announced more, They definitely have. I just can't remember what they are.
See,
Which
and that's
kind
what
of
I'm
sucks.
saying.
But they definitely announced more because I saw somewhere else. I just don't remember what they
Camille
are.
Nanjiani has a show.
Okay.
You know, Steven Spielberg is going to help them shepherd some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where I think Apple is going into this cautiously because I think in the back of their mind they're like, we can cut this off. We don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
Disney needs this.
You think so?
Reason why is because Disney's business model, it literally is a walking advertisement for them. And it goes back to this idea that they now control their content, where before they were getting paid for it. Disney needs it because they no longer need Netflix. They no longer need the movie theater. And they've set themselves up to the point where Netflix wants to break the mold into going into movie theaters because they're like, we have these prestigious movies, we want you to appreciate this, and the movie theater company's like, nah. Disney's like, we made $6 billion off of 5 movies. You need us, we don't need you. Because tell me, if an Avengers movie dropped on Disney Plus, whoo, like a brand new one, that's what I'm saying, you don't need the movie theater.
So, I don't think that'll ever happen. Because
true, but
movies are still spectacles. We haven't gotten to the point where your home theater is as good as a movie, unless you're like super rich. I feel like.
I agree. We've talked about the TVs and everything, but this is my point. Disney needed this to move forward because as a family of 4 or 5, I can release a Disney Streaming Plus movie that is on par with what you would get in the movie theater.
True.
And I don't have to spend what I spend at the movie theater to take my Rugrats. And I can sit my ass at home.
I can pause it.
Yep.
When I gotta go pick up little said Rugrat. Yeah.
I can. We have snacks at home. It costs for the 2 of us to go to the movie theaters, me and my wife. If we don't go to a matinee, it costs $40 for 2 tickets and just a thing of popcorn and a soda. That's 2 of us.
Yeah.
Now imagine if you've got a family of 5 and you go to see Pets.
Hey, Ray Sean, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to be too personal, but like we know that you have a child. You told us so far in the chat. If you and your significant other were to take your child to the movies, just give us like how much would it cost you guys? Just put it out
like
there.
ballpark.
Yeah, because you have a child.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. Anybody else, if you're a parent,
Yeah.
we're not parents. We're well, some of us aren't.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I knew as soon as you started.
I know.
I was like,
I meant to.
when is he gonna flip it?
I meant to do it early. But
there we go.
But
Yeah.
this is the thing. That's why I said Disney needed to do this because Disney's like, we go get all your dollars. We go get them whether you come to our park. We go get them whether you stay home. We will get all of your money because Disney can right now. Disney's saying, oh yeah, we're going to flood the market these movies because we're trying to build a catalog.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it's so interesting what Apple's doing because they seem to be doing okay, but they still don't seem to know what they're doing. Whereas they're now it's like they're dipping their foot into the streaming wars. And then you got the Apple Arcade, which to me sounds like a whole better deal than Google Stadia.
Why do you think it's better than Google Stadia?
Only because they know what they're trying to do. Joseph 3 Banks, I got 5 kids, we're watching TV. The Disney service sounding good right now. See? Netflix needs to be the new Comcast, but don't want them owned by another entity. Miles Cage, I'm trying not to get fired on my day off. And Joseph Banks says he's on his 4th generation iPod. And so the difference with what Apple is doing versus Google Stadia is Apple is saying one price. You're buying the service. You can download them. You can play however you want to. Google Stadia is like you're paying for the service.
Yeah.
We're going to give you some games, but for those AAA games, you go pay for that on top of the service.
So Ray Sean said he does $50 with tickets and food and everything.
See,
So, okay,
and that's why I said Disney needed to do this.
Yeah.
Because they needed to stop having their content housed other places, and now they brought it all home. Oh, they're going to be a juggernaut, and they're not in competition with Netflix as far as catalog yet, but they will be, because when all these other catalogs start dropping off because they realize they can't afford the infrastructure, they can't afford the servers, they can't keep up. Their UI has to keep changing. They can't keep the security flaws to a minimum.
Yeah.
Disney's will come in and say, "I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that," and that's exactly.
Well, I
what's gonna happen.
wonder. Sooner or later, you would think the FCC is going to be like, "You guys are big enough." When is that going to happen?
We're starting to see it already with AT&T
Yeah.
and Time Warner. We saw some of that, and we saw some of that with Congress saying, and somebody saying, "Yeah, you guys need to calm down." We saw the president talk about some of these mergers when he got upset with some of this stuff. Now he got upset for personal reasons, but the fact still remains that these monolith companies, it's not anymore. And Disney is one of the largest movie studios. I think what Apple is doing to me makes more sense. 5 people can share an account. You pay one price a month. You get all these games. You can go from playing on your phone to your tablet to your Apple TV, and you don't have to buy the individual games.
That's pretty cool.
And that's why I said I understand what Apple's doing. Because the one thing Apple has that nobody else has is the Apple Store. And that's one of those things where you can easily drag and drop.
Yeah.
And that's what Google Stadia hasn't figured out.
We always talk about UI because we always talk about how the Amazon UI, as great as
trash.
it is, like the content is great, but the UI is horrible. But the Apple Store is easy to use.
And this is what I don't get. The Amazon UI for the company itself is amazing. How is it that your UI for Amazon Prime television is trash? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what Apple has over Google. Apple already knows how to manage a store. They already know how to manage these things. Now, they suck at always giving you an update. Lord, that alone pisses me off with Apple. But they figured out, oh yeah, because this is the thing. We work with people who have kids, and they are very, very efficient with tablets, phones, everything. Knowing how stuff works, that's who they're going after.
Okay.
Because it's for $5, I can say, here.
So here's another question for you guys in the chat. Listen, you guys can type them out, but let us know what streaming services you guys have already and which ones you'd be willing to get, whether that's Disney Plus or Apple or whatever. Just let us know in the chat.
So for me, I bought Disney Plus for 3 years.
I bought it too, after you wouldn't leave me alone about it.
I was not going to let you go down
Yeah.
that path without having Disney Plus.
I got Disney Plus too.
So I got Disney Plus. We do Netflix Prime. No, sorry.
Amazon Prime.
That's what's going to happen later. So you heard it here first. Netflix Prime.
Netflix Prime.
We have Amazon Prime. A friend of ours has Hulu, so we have Hulu. I have HBO. I think that's it. I think that's it. Cause you go ahead.
All right, so I got Disney Plus.
Okay.
I use my sister's and brother-in-law's Hulu account, and then I pay for Netflix. They use my Netflix account, so we switch off like that.
Okay.
I have a friend who lets me use their HBO account. What else? Oh, Crunchyroll. I don't have a premium Crunchyroll service, but I'm thinking about getting premium.
Now, do you pay for that?
Crunchyroll. No, it's I have the free account.
Okay, so
that lets me get like anime, but I don't get like the most recent animes week by week. And
so hold on, you do. So I'm trying to make sure, because I'm gonna write down what you pay for and what you don't pay for.
Okay.
So you do HBO. You said
Hulu.
Hulu.
Yeah.
You did not have Amazon, or you do?
Oh no, yeah, I have access to Amazon Prime.
You have access.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm pretty much covered with everything I want. What?
Nope. WWE.
Man, bro,
See?
you knew that I had it and I forgot.
And
WWE's genius.
now watch this. The funniest thing
It's
is
just $10 coming out of my account every month.
that is a freaking commercial for Wells Fargo.
Oh, that guy,
Yep.
like he got
That's
new
you.
services. That's me.
And so they're like, oh, you have this service you didn't cancel.
Yep.
That's what and so that's where it's going.
Yeah.
To the point where it just comes out.
Yeah.
And that's why I said WWE is $10. Amazon is genius because it's only $5.
Apple's genius, not Amazon. Yeah.
There's so many A's. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yep. But that's what I'm saying. It's genius. It's
but-
$4.99.
The good thing is, even with all these things that I'm paying for, it's still cheaper than a traditional cable bill.
It is.
At the moment, which is cool.
Because for us, so we do Disney Plus, Netflix, HBO, Hulu. I do not pay for Hulu. We do pay for HBO. I pay for Netflix. We already paid for Disney Plus. A friend of us has Hulu. I still have a cable login from my sister, so there's like certain things I can watch through cable, and that's it.
Okay.
I don't pay for CBS All Access streaming.
Yeah.
I don't do. Now that I know Crunchyroll is free, I may go get that.
Yeah, Crunchyroll's great. Crunchyroll, they have a
that.
free account where you can still watch stuff, but you don't get like whatever the most recent episode is in Japan. I think you have to wait the week before, a week after, which is fine.
I don't get man. I'm about to go get Crunchyroll tonight,
Yeah.
son.
Yeah.
But that's why I said where Apple is smart with their gaming, is Apple's not trying to compete with Microsoft as far as like an Xbox. They're not trying to compete with Sony with the PlayStation. They're going after Vanessa, our coworker, with her kid, because they're going after my my nephew.
Because they're not. What you're saying is they're not doing AAA games. Like they're not worried about a Last of Us.
Nope.
They're worried about it. Here's a Candy Crush.
Not even just doing Candy Crush. They're doing like Breath of the Wild is here. We got something right here. And the kid, up until 10 to 12, doesn't care. Scale it down.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going after. And they're working with developers to make AAA games, but for their platform. Which means you're going to get a Limbo. You're going to get a Catherine. You're going to get, what's the game that we reviewed that was a side scroller with the dude had the penance hat?
Blasphemous.
Blasphemous.
Yeah.
You're going to get those, but you're going to get them on Apple. And so you're going to get those games, but you're still only paying $5. And like you said, you forgot you even pay for the WWE.
I did.
You're going to forget you're paying for Apple.
Well,
And
I ain't got my money yet.
But
so.
what I'm saying, but as a parent, you're
Right.
going to look at it, you're going to say, I pay $5 a month. My kids have games. They can play it on any platform, wherever we go. I'll keep doing it.
So here's the thing with Apple for me. As of this moment, do we know, and chat let us know if you're not sure, Leroy, do we know, will Apple Plus TV work on an Amazon Fire Stick? Is that a thing yet?
We don't know how the actual shows will work. In other words, like, will there be an app for
Right.
Apple Plus TV?
Right.
I'm guessing yes. Because
so?
I think the reason why I think is because they need that money. You need the subscribers. And this is where I think they're going to get people. You make your service good enough. They're not there yet, but let's be honest. Apple is the dark horse to me in all of this. Even though I think they don't have it right yet. Apple is the dark horse where they will create a service that makes you buy their product.
Okay.
You know how I know?
Where's that?
iTunes Music. How many people what's that?
Yeah.
How many people bought an iPod because of iTunes Music?
Sure.
Apple Music. They're the only people I can think of who actually know how to get you to buy a physical product for their service.
Another question for chat. Joseph Three Banks, you can answer this, but anybody can too. But I'm bringing this up to you because you said you had the iPod. What made you get an iPod? Was it for iTunes Music or whatever? Just let us know in the chat why you got your iPod.
And that's why I said I think Apple's the odd man out, but I also think they're the dark horse because everybody else is coming to this with guns a-blazing. Apple's coming in, they're like, hey, we're here, we're finally at the table, but they're sitting back, they're holding all their cards because I think what they're doing is they're going to make sure the service works. Get these prestigious shows, get them out there, these high quality shows, and then start putting more content out. And they own the content, which means so if you want to get it, you want to buy this show, you have to get it through Apple.
Okay.
Then somebody's going to be like, man, I've been thinking about getting an iPod, or I've been thinking about getting a tablet.
Okay.
I get the service for free. So that's what I think Apple is doing better to me than Google Stadia. Because Google Stadia, if you want to play the game. Oh, excuse me, guys. I apologize. That was
you
bad.
died.
I didn't.
Yeah.
IMAX said I had an iPod way before Apple Music. And Rayshawn says that it was on Roku and Android, and I don't know what else.
Referring to Apple Plus,
Yep.
I guess, or Apple TV. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Google Stadia, you did the Founders Edition. It was $129. You get a controller and you get Destiny, right?
Destiny 2.
Destiny 2. Everything that comes out of Destiny 2. That's great. How much would Destiny 2 cost on Google Stadia? Is it the same price as a physical copy of a game?
Probably. I would imagine it's $60.
So not only are you paying, what is it, $9.99 or $14.99 a month?
$9.99.
$9.99 a month. You got to pay for the game. Google, and I understand why they're doing that. Apple's like, you ain't got to do that with us, dog.
True.
You
But
just pay for the service.
we don't know that Destiny is going to be on Apple.
I understand that, and it may never get there.
Right.
But the thing is, cost-wise, I can play five profiles. When we went, my family reunion was this past weekend.
Where's your hat?
Oh, it's in the car.
Oh, man. Y'all, if y'all ain't seen, check out some of our other videos where Leroy fell in love with this military bucket
Camo
hat.
hat, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wear that thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where one of my cousins, between her and her boyfriend, they got 3 kids. So she has a little girl, he has a little girl and a little boy. Beautiful little kids, the precious. All of them had a tablet. All of them playing various different games. That's who Apple TV's going after. They're not going after them for Google Stadia. Google Stadia is not going to get them.
Right.
Because you're not going to give Google Stadia to an 8-year-old. You can give Apple Arcade, though.
Well, you might give it to an 8-year-old. Why wouldn't you give it
Your
to an 8-year-old?
8-year-old, yeah, probably.
But I hate you.
I didn't mean.
But no, what do you mean? Why wouldn't you give a kid Google Stadia?
I'm not gonna say that you're not, but which one are you more inclined to get? One that you have to buy the service and then buy the game,
Okay.
or one you just have to buy the service?
I see what you're saying.
And that's why I think Google Stadia is making its mistake. But it could work because that goes into Google. Google Stadia is literally the reason why GameStop is closing 200 stores at the end of the year.
I mean, it's not helping GameStop. Like, quick note, it seems like things just keep getting worse and worse for GameStop. They had 200 stores will be closing worldwide by the end of 2020. I don't know how many
end of
stores.
2019.
Oh, 2019?
Yeah.
No, end of this year. Okay.
End of this year. They're closing 200 low-performing stores at the end of this year.
Because they said, the first thing they said was like 95% of their stores or something was profitable.
95% of their stores were profitable. That 5% out of 5,800 stores, I'm not sure. I got to go look it up. Out of 5,800 stores, they were like, we good with most of these. What's up, Ramble Ron? It says Disney has it on lock. Why do I hear that in a New York accent? All I hear is somebody in Tim's, Busta Rhymes, yo son, Disney got that on lock.
Yeah, GameStop losing 200 people or 200 stores.
Yeah.
Last month they fired 100
Laid off.
Whatever. They laid off
There's
100.
a difference between laid off and fired.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, now we're talking about that? That's what we're doing? They didn't resign? They laid off, they fired, they didn't resign?
First of all, he was fired.
Whatever. Anyway, so 100 people
Stand
from
by
their
what I said.
corporate headquarters were laid off.
Hashtag pour out some for Game Informer employees.
Yeah.
Because they didn't deserve that, y'all.
Yeah, because it was GameStop headquarters and Game Informer.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Some
yeah,
of them headquarters people, y'all, I don't know y'all, but some of y'all maybe might have deserved it. Because
I'm not going to say that. I used to work for GameStop.
no,
GameStop was cool.
because this goes to my question for you, because you've worked at GameStop, you've worked at Toys R Us. We've talked about physical versus
I
streaming.
worked at Best Buy.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I never got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the holy grail for me.
What, Best Buy?
Yeah.
It ain't great.
Yeah, for you.
It ain't great. It's fine.
Bring that truck over here. For you. If y'all ever see a back door Best Buy open, that's the one I'm working at.
Wow. Fantastic. All right. Anyway, what?
This is my question to you. So, did GameStop screw themselves by throwing out and not getting into the old school gaming market before and just giving away and throwing out stuff? Because you worked there when they would like literally just throw stuff away.
Yeah, well, the thing was, at least my store policy was...
In other words, did GameStop F themselves by not getting into the retro gaming market? Because that, to me, that's why I said I have a problem with GameStop, not just because of how
their business practices.
their business practices are. They literally allowed themselves to be priced out of the game because they didn't see the future, and they didn't jump in on the retro game. They literally could have done that, and they didn't.
Yeah,
they
they waited a while before they started doing retro stuff.
And I ask you, as a person who's been a manager, who's been on the inside and seen how they've run their business, is that part of the reason why? Because they could have stayed relevant, in my opinion, if they balanced those things.
I don't know. I'm a manager, but what does that mean in terms of GameStop? You know, I work at store such and such in South Carolina when you got headquarters in, I want to say Grapevine, Texas, where headquarters was. I don't know if it still is, but whatever. I mean, tons of decisions are going on above my head, but from the store level, you know, I think it became a matter of inventory in terms of there's only so much inventory you can have or whatever.
True, but you still, I guess my thing is, and maybe it's the hoarder in me.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a video game, I don't throw it away.
True.
And that's where I think they were stupid, because we have seen people, like, we've seen, like, I'm a person, I go to a thrift store, I go to yard sales. If I see a PlayStation or a Nintendo, I pick it up. I want to see if it's, and they had all of that stuff, and they threw it away.
Well, they didn't have retro stuff.
But that's what I'm saying. They had it. They did. They had the stuff, and they did not invest
Not like
in
Atari
keeping it.
and whatnot.
I'm not saying like Atari. What I'm saying is, like, when they had PlayStations, when people were trading in games,
Yeah.
you should have been like, "Hey, you got a Genesis? We'll take it."
Yeah.
Like in other words, they did not, and that's what business is: giving people what they want, but also anticipating somebody's need. And
John G said those GameStop dumpsters on videos are crazy.
see, and that's,
we did throw a lot of stuff away in dumpsters.
thank you. Like, dude, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
perfect example. How many? They're bringing this back. It's a TurboGrafx 16.
Yeah.
They're bringing it back. GameStop had this. Why were you throwing it away? And I'm not asking you personally,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, why were they throwing this away? Why did they not say, that might be valuable one day? Because honestly, if you walked into, right now, you talked about, you wouldn't mind getting a Sega Saturn.
Yeah. I keep
What?
looking at buying a Sega Saturn. Yeah.
GameStop had them.
Yeah.
And what did they do with them?
Yeah, they got rid of them.
See what I'm saying? And that's my question when I say business practices. Business practices, yes, they screwed up, but they didn't anticipate that people would still like playing video games and retro video games.
Yeah.
And that's where I have my problem with GameStop.
Well, it's kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't type of thing of that works until like there's a bust or whatever of because in a way it's kind of like the comic collecting bust, right? Where everybody thought every single comic was going to be rare, so they bought them up. But since everybody bought them, they're not rare because there's so
But the
many made.
difference between the comic industry and the gaming industry was you had speculators coming into the comic industry buying up comics because they were like, oh, this is a variant cover, so it's a 1 out of 25. And then people, after Image came through in the 90s and people bought all these comics thinking, oh, I'm going to have it. Whereas the retro video games, people aren't just buying it because they think it's valuable. People are playing it. People are like, I buy comics, and I'll be honest with you, there's some I buy I have never even opened. I bought it for the cover and I'm going to hang it on a wall. Or I bought it because I know it was going to be valuable. I've never bought a video game and never opened it. I've never bought a video game and never played it.
I have dozens of video games that I bought and never opened.
And see, that for me, I did not do that. Everything I buy, I play. Now, there's still some stuff on the shelf I haven't gotten around to, but I play it. And that's the difference between video games, where I think they messed up not anticipating, because this is the thing. Video games are still a young thing.
Yeah.
They did not anticipate that generation who played Nintendo and grew up and wanted to play it with their kids. And that's where that retro video game boom came in. And I think they missed out on that. And that, for me, is a bad business decision. You not looking ahead to say, oh, we can make money off of this. And they didn't do it. And they threw stuff away.
Yeah.
And then they screwed themselves over because everybody's going digital, and it's like, well, buy this used copy of such and such. You had the freaking inventory. You screwed yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why I get mad with GameStop, because it's the largest North American store that's solely for video games. And a GameStop, for all its nuts and bolts and all the problems people have with it, in rural areas, it is the only video game store for that community.
It can be for some, yeah.
And we're blessed to live in Columbia, South Carolina. We have a Best Buy, we have a Walmart, we have a Target, we have 5 video game or some type of computer store.
Yeah.
We're blessed. Sumter. It's a small town, some may say city, about 40 miles from here. They've got GameStop and they've got one video game store. And if you've got a crappy video game store, you have a crappy video game experience.
Yeah.
And that's why I said I have a problem with GameStop closing. I know a lot of people were like, they need to go. For some people, in Timbuktu, that's the only game in town. So.
I'm looking back through stuff now. People just talking about retro gaming, just how much they're
Oh,
and stuff.
Dre Sean's like, I want the Dreamcast. IMAX. eBay, and I'll be honest with you, GameStop. Because GameStop's starting to figure it out.
Well,
They're
yeah.
taking those stuff now.
Yeah, if you go online, you can find a larger selection of. You might not find it physically in the store, but you can find a large selection online of stuff that they.
And
still
so, but that's my point. These systems, you could have easily be making millions and make up for when we talked about it in our Nerd News Wrap. The end of a gaming cycle. End of a gaming cycle for a current gen system. Yeah, you might lose that money, but Nintendo games cartridges still sell. You could easily still be making money off of GameCube, Animal Crossing, and Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I mean they're figuring that out. I think GameStop it's going to have to revamp itself, and they're talking about revamping. They'll figure it out. Because we
Will
talked
they?
about
Every month we're doing a new GameStop story about how
I think they're going to be like they're going to rise from the ashes like a phoenix. That's what I feel like their story is going to be.
you don't even sound like you believe that.
No, I do.
Okay,
Only because
the way you said it, you was like, they go rise with ashes.
I say that because who was the guy that we were talking about? The guy,
And Big Short, the
the
first
Big
guy.
Short, the Christian Bale guy.
Yeah.
He has put a lot of money from his hedge funds into GameStop.
He also bought water.
Oh, well,
You remember that? At the end, he was like, water's
Yeah.
the next big stock that he was going to buy. I'm trying to look up the guy's name.
Yeah, but he's bought millions of shares of stock in GameStop because he thinks they're going to be able to rebound. And now it's probably time to do it. I'm not a financial expert, so I can't tell anybody how to spend their money, but it would make sense. They're low now, so they should expect to go up with new
Michael
consoles coming
Burry.
out. Michael who?
Michael Burry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should expect to go up next year when new systems are coming out.
True.
So did we finish with Apple? Because I feel like we kind of
Yeah.
sidetracked
Well,
GameStop.
we're finished with Apple because it segued into GameStop and the 200 stores closing, and the whole idea that hey, they need to get it together because this is the future. Google Stadia may not be for me, but we've heard from definitely people in our chat when we're online. They're not doing physical anymore. They're going digital.
Okay.
And it's cheaper to some places you don't have, and it's not as wasteful, and your catalog goes with you wherever you go. You don't have to worry about a physical copy.
So we're gonna move to our last topic
Yeah.
because we ran out of time. I know you want to see some of this football game.
No, I mean I'm good.
Okay.
What's the last topic?
I guess Dreamcast, right?
Dreamcast.
Sega Dreamcast. So a couple people talk about they wish they had one. John Donuts, man, what's up?
Yep.
You
From
catch us on
Heroes
this,
to Icons,
yeah.
he talks about they don't sell the retros game. You're right. Some of them do, but most of you have to go online to get them. The retro consoles.
I can't remember how I even got a Dreamcast. I don't
Really?
remember.
You didn't buy it in the store?
See, I definitely didn't buy it day one because I would have been in 9th grade when it came out.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
have no money for a Dreamcast day one.
Oh man, I forget I'm older than you.
Yeah, so I don't even know how I would have bought one. I guess I must have bought it later. But when I did, there was a large library that had already been out, which was great. So I have a bunch of the old. One thing people always talk about the Dreamcast library as having a great selection. One genre that really excelled for Dreamcast was fighting games.
Oh yeah. Fighting in sports.
Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, DOA.
Street Fighter Alpha.
Yeah, I mean a bunch of those old school, 2D and 3D platformer fighting games are available on Dreamcast, and I have most of them. And I think like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is probably worth a little bit of money if it's in good condition on Dreamcast. But yeah, the Dreamcast was ahead of its time, right?
Me and you talked about it before. Somebody online, I cannot remember who it was, but I was looking online. Somebody likened the Dreamcast coming out when it did to like Allen Iverson in basketball. That it came out and it changed the game, but it was so new and no one knew what it was at the time. They didn't know how to deal with it. And Sega was like, okay, we're out. This is our last console.
Yeah, I mean, and think about everything it had. It had online before anybody else. Granted, it was a dial-up modem, but that's what you had back then. But it had online infrastructure. I mean, to be fair, you could also get online with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. You remember that?
Nope.
Oh yeah, it was wild.
I remember you get on with the Sega Genesis because of the Sega CD.
Yeah, but there was like a cartridge you could put in stuff to get online.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Because there's the 32X also. You could, like, the Sega Genesis, a lot of people don't realize how revolutionary that game system was.
Yeah.
For, like, the different add-ons you could get for it. But
Yeah.
continue, sorry.
No, so it was online before anybody else. The graphics for like 2K, everybody that loves NBA 2K,
Yep.
all that got started with
Yep.
with your football and your basketball games on Sega Saturn.
Yep.
We were talking about Allen Iverson. He was the cover athlete for a bunch of 2K basketball games for a while. I think Randy Moss might have been the cover for football. I'm getting off traffic.
It was the Vikings something. It might have been Chris Carter.
Could have been Chris Carter at that time too.
Could have been Randall Cunningham too, because
Yeah.
Cunningham was a quarterback at the time.
It also had the portable VMUs. You remember those you would plug into the controller? You know, that was your whole external memory, huge back then. And it was a portable memory unit also slash Tamagotchi thing for a couple of games. Like Sonic Adventure, you could raise your own little Chaos Emerald Chow creature or whatever on there. So I mean, it did a bunch of stuff.
It had a 4-port for
four ports. I mean,
Yeah.
GameCube copied that, and they
Yep.
had great success with it. But Dreamcast was doing it 1st Nintendo 64 did it too, for that matter. I think about it. So I guess they didn't come up with it first. But yeah, I mean, it was way ahead of its time. It's just
People weren't ready for it.
yeah, and at that time, Sega was still kind of reeling from dealing with Sega Saturn and all the other stuff, and they just couldn't weather the storm. I'm happy that they're still doing video games overall, like software stuff, because like Yakuza's a ton of fun. Now, Sega proper hasn't made a great Sonic game in forever. You can at me on that. I'm happy.
You
with that.
believe that they haven't made a great Sonic game ever.
I will say this. I think Sonic is fine. I think it doesn't control as well as Mario. Never has.
But
It ain't.
But what I
Come
will,
at me.
but-
I'm
hold on.
strongly with
what
that.
I will say is, I think their goal with Sonic was different than Mario.
That's fine.
And in other words, they were trying to come up with their own Super Mario in a sense, but not have the controls work the same. Like they were trying to make something different. They just didn't do a good job of it.
Bro,
So,
that don't make no sense for you to tap the A button and him to kind of hang there for a second with his jumps. All I'm saying is Sonic has a floaty jump. That sucks. Mario, when you jump with Mario, you know how Mario's gonna land. So Sonic, I don't feel like you get that all the time.
okay.
Now, a lot of people have overcompensated for that and figured that out, and you know they've made great. Sonic Mania came out 2 or 3 years ago. That was a good game, made by a passionate fan base of people who loved Sonic back in the day.
Yeah.
Not made by proper Sonic, but yeah, Dreamcast. You got any good Dreamcast memories?
I got out of video games for a little while, right when the Dreamcast hit.
Okay.
So that's why I said it's wild for me when Dreamcast came out, because it was during a gap for me.
Side
Sega
note,
Japan.
Ray Sean said it was Randy Moss on the cover.
Yep, I saw that. No, when I mentioned John Dunn, it said Sega Japan did not have the faith, while Sega America did, but they're not the bosses. And that's something else I've noticed. You have to have a company that we got the same plan,
Yeah.
and so when it goes back to what you were talking about, the age difference. I was in the military when the Saturn came out.
Okay.
So the Saturn, the PlayStation was my, okay, that's cool. And I remember being in the barracks, and I remember the Saturn, and people like crowding around it, and I remember Panzer Dragoon. And I was like, whoa, we were like, what is that?
Yeah.
And then I got caught up with life, moved away from it. I missed the Dreamcast when it came out.
Okay.
What brought me back was the PlayStation. And
PlayStation 2 at that time?
One.
Oh, 1. Okay, got it.
So it was one of those things where Nintendo wasn't hitting it for me. Sega would hit it. Sony, when they dropped that PlayStation and they dropped Metal Gear Solid, brought me back. And then I went back through the catalog and was like, oh my, what is this? That's what brought me back. So for me, I missed out on some of this Dreamcast because it wasn't revolutionary for me like the PlayStation was, because the PlayStation brought me back to gaming.
Okay.
And because I remember Ready to John G. I remember Ready to Rumble. Like, it's funny because I remember playing these games, but I remember playing them at friends' houses. I remember playing them with dudes in the barracks, and then we would go out that night. I remember playing it for a little bit, and then we would leave. It wasn't like, I remember when I was in the military. I remember being in the Navy. I remember us being at sea, and every waking moment I had, I played Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
I remember this dude, we played it together. He played it first, and I remember playing it on the mess decks. And I remember, so on my ship was a frigate. So you had people being able to sit over here, people sitting over here, and there was a TV right there. I remember the ship moving back and forth to where we drilled holes into this thing that so we could literally fit the PlayStation. So as the ship moved, it never moved.
No.
And we literally played Metal Gear Solid. Like there were people who were like, when I was playing it, people would come, you going to go play Metal Gear?
Yeah.
And then we literally played that game together.
So how'd that work in terms of like game save? So there was just one save for like everybody on the
No,
ship?
it was just one person could play it at one time.
Wow.
So if you're playing it, you're the one. Like, you're the one who's got to get us through.
Right. So like, do you guys have a memory card?
We had a memory card.
So say for example, you weren't playing it, somebody else was playing it, and
No.
they got to a certain part.
You were playing it.
No, but what I'm saying is, say you're not playing it, say somebody else is playing it, right? And they get to chapter 2, or they get to, I don't know, some part of the game. Did you just miss all this other stuff?
No, you don't play it. There's one save for Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
And you just, here's the sticks.
Yeah.
You play this part.
Wow.
That's how it was.
Okay.
And it was an egalitarian society. We did it was one person. You didn't get to give up the sticks until you got past your level.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
like you played
Yeah.
until you figured. So like we literally were on the ship cursing a storm with Psycho Mantis.
Oh yeah.
Like literally, I remember us sitting there like, what is, who do I was, it's
Yeah.
like grown ass men
Yeah.
yelling at this small ass TV. And we're like, oh! And we're like, that was the one time I remember different people, like, that was the one time I remember people like, you tried that. You tried. And we finally figured it out.
Okay.
And that was one of those things where, but I remember playing that game where I was like, yo, this is gaming. And that's what brought me back. So for me, I missed out on Dreamcast.
But that's weird because how'd you miss out on Dreamcast? Because that came out after the PlayStation.
Because we played the PlayStation so much. Like, it came out, we just didn't pay attention to it.
Okay.
It was one of those things we were like, we were so focused on the PlayStation, we didn't see anything. We had tunnel vision.
Okay.
We weren't like, hey, you see this thing over here? No! We're playing PlayStation. It was like, it literally was like that.
Gotcha.
So, it was weird. It was weird. But again, we only had access. We only had the PlayStation.
Yeah.
So nobody went to whatever game EB Games and was like, "Hey man, they got this new thing." We just kept buying PlayStation games.
John Donut says, if Sega North America was the boss, we might still have Sega consoles today. I'm okay that we don't have a Sega console. I said it.
I'm not.
Because I got too many consoles now. I'm just talking for me. I love my Sega Dreamcast, but I'm
Really?
cool.
See, I'm of the mindset where I would like there to be more consoles, because with more consoles, there's more creativity.
Maybe.
Really, you don't think so?
Well, no, because you got the only people who are being creative, you could say, are Nintendo. At least trying something different.
But that's my point.
Microsoft and Sony are just going to beat pound for pound and trying to have the most powerful console.
And that's that. You're proving my point. Where it's saying if there was another console out there, Sega could have been the independent console.
Yeah, but based on their track record, they weren't trying to do creative stuff. They were trying to be the most powerful.
True, but I guess what I'm saying is if they had stayed in business, maybe they would have seen the light and said, you know what? Because this is the thing. Nintendo made Breath of the Wild because they were not going to compete with Microsoft and Sony. we could, in other words, a gaming console might have figured that out earlier. And I imagine if another person was there who had been competing with Nintendo pound for that dollar and not been in that upper tier echelon. And that's just my feeling. I wish we had another console so somebody, because it's either you're making a AAA game for this console or you're making a game for Nintendo.
Hey, you can go get you another console. You can get you a Ouya right now. I'll sell you my Ouya. That's another console that I got. A Ouya. I think the servers officially went offline this year.
Last year.
Last year? I don't know.
Because the Ouya CEO was praising and then trash talked Google Stadia. Literally.
Oh yeah, because he was like, yeah, they were doing what we're doing, or
Yeah.
something like that, right? Yeah.
And then Google Stadia was like, man, y'all ain't even on our level. And then
Yeah.
he retracted. Was like, man, F you. This is like.
It's like, yeah.
Um.
So that's all our stuff, right?
Yeah. Like I said, given Sony's history, you guys think we'll see a PS4 Pro Slim? Yeah.
A Pro Slim.
Yeah. If they're smart, yeah. You know why?
Man, I mean, yeah, because that's how you make more money. But I gotta say, the PS4 Pro is pretty freaking quiet. I'm surprised at how quiet it is in terms of efficiency. It seems to be very efficient.
True, it's quite an efficient. He's talking about a slim, like a smaller version of it.
Yeah.
Because Sony is notorious for making different models of the same system. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I would love to see Sony go balls to the wall and start making variety of consoles, kind of like what Nintendo did with the Nintendo 64. Make
with different colors and
make a small, like, kind of like what the Wii did. Remember the Wii came in red, came in black, came in white, came in yellow. Hell, this book talks about it right here. How many different consoles? Nintendo, the 3DS, how many colors it came in. I'm all for. Oh man. Sorry, I got distracted. But I'm all for PlayStation making a slim. Imagine a nice, small PlayStation Pro Slim that was red, that sat on your shelf.
I don't need that.
See, I would love something like that. How you pay for money for? I would pay money for that. I would. I would really go out, rebrand the original PS4. No, too close. Rayshawn says no, too close to the PS5. This is where I disagree. This is when you start doing those PS4 mods and you start doing those weird stuff. Because you say, okay, PS5, you can buy this, or you can buy this $200 PS4 Pro. That's how you get people.
Yeah, but the issue with that is you might as well just drop your thing that you got out now. Because instead of like having new factories build new machines for this Slim, I would just say drop the price on what you got on your current batch of systems.
True.
And work on PS5.
True, but the thing is, we don't know how much that PS5 is going to be. And I'm of the mindset that it's not going to be less than $500.
I think $500 is the minimum for both the Scarlet
That's what I'm
and
saying.
the
I think the
PS5.
Scarlet's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, they're touting it as being the biggest thing ever.
I think Microsoft is like, this is our make it or break it console. I think Microsoft is like, I think Microsoft is building an at-home computer.
I mean, so what are you paying? $600, $700?
I think they're going to do a tiered, kind of like with, because the people will buy it, kind of like a tiered iPad, 30 gig, whatever gig, like phones. I think Microsoft is going to do that with this new Project Scarlet, and if they do, they're genius. Try it out. Give people a $750 balls maxed out, rims, mufflers, nitrous.
I think we've seen in the past that there is a threshold at which people will stop buying stuff. Like that bit Sony in the behind with PlayStation 3 when it first came out. Because that thing was $600. And that is like the original PlayStation 3 when it first came out.
I know. I bought it.
Not enough people did. And that is why Xbox 360 won that console race.
I was one of those people.
That generation where Xbox 360 beat out
I'm just
PlayStation
saying.
3.
I had both.
Yeah.
360 and I had the fat. I still play my fat PS3. It still is alive to this date.
I had the Metal Gear Solid one that still runs.
You still got it?
Yeah,
Going
you
to
can't
work?
have it,
Going to work tomorrow?
sir. Tell these people goodbye because I got a show to do.
Hey man, what time you going to work tomorrow?
Don't worry about it. Leave me and my Metal Gear Solid PS3 alone.
Is it upstairs or downstairs?
You can tell these people goodbye, sir.
So I mean, how much you want for it? I just, hey man, tell Michael to let me have this Metal Gear Solid. It's my birthday, man.
I mean, you do realize it's not like branded. It's just that it came out with the bundle. So the only thing that's different is the serial number that says Metal Gear Solid on it. It's not like a branded Metal Gear Solid.
But it does say Metal Gear Solid on it, right?
I think it has MG in the serial number. That's it.
How big?
Wherever the serial number is, sir.
Hey man, I love everything Metal Gear Solid. I'm not gonna. I bought Metal Gear Survive, sir.
Tell these people.
All right. For everybody in the chat, we're gonna wrap this up. Hey, Miles Cage, and I bought a lot of stuff on that Days of PS Plus. For IMAX, Miles Cage, appreciate it. John Donuts, John G, Rayshawn Kid. I'm trying to scroll back up from Heroes to Icons. Shout out to where's my man? Oh, my bad. We missed out on Edwards Sanchez Productions. I didn't even see you in there, my man. And Joseph Three Banks. We really appreciate it. So we're gonna get out of here. We got some other work to work on. We're
gonna. You guys can see us next week. Hopefully Thursday at 8 o'clock again.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. Let us know in the chat what topics you might want us to cover too.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a post. So we're basically how we frame these, and we do call it a Nerd News wrap up. We're gonna have to rename it eventually, but we take like what we think are the top 5 or 6 stories of the week, and then we expound upon them. So it's a package, a story that runs in our morning shows, and then we take those stories. So we write a script and then we do it. So we're gonna start doing a post. Hopefully get it up so then you guys can ask questions, and you guys can be like, okay, talk about this, and then we'll all talk about this, you guys in the chat, and we'll all talk about it together. So I'm gonna try to start doing that post on a Monday, and that way we can start doing that. You can find us on, of course, YouTube, WLTX.com, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We need to do a Snapchat account, but we don't know how to do Snapchat. we need to fix our Twitch account. We've been slow on that as well. We need to do a lot, Michael, now that I think about it.
You gonna say bye?
Oh, my bad. Bye, guys. Really appreciate you guys watching. See you next week.